Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning. A big thank you to J.E. May on Twitter for the picture you're looking at above. Now, listen up, because I've done something for today. This will not be a regular thing, but I've done this for today, and it became necessary to do this. So there's two videos today. This is part one. We're covering the royal family. We're covering what else went on in New York, what happened with the New York mayor. We're covering a lot of stuff. Okay, there's some Harry Meghan stuff in here, but this is part one, and then you're going to look for part two. And they will say part one and part two. So if you can't find it, just go to my channel and you'll be able to see it. Okay, so there's a lot. Let's jump in. Let's get busy. Let's go. We're going to start off with Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, on May 1st. Gorillas at Jersey Zoo got their new enclosure. They got the seal of approval from Anne. She officially opened it. Now, their keeper led the silverback leader of the group, and all four animals explored it within the first hour after it was open. They took food from the keepers. They tested out the climbing frame. They saw a lot of really good play behaviors, and I'm sure they're going to be very happy there. And good on for Anne for opening it up. Let's move on now to Beatrice and Eugenie. They were spotted out together having lunch in Mayfair. This is kind of a rare appearance. I got to be honest, Beatrice did not look good. She looked like she was very stressed out. You don't see them a lot since the Epstein, scandal. And later on, Eugenie met up with her husband, Jack Brooksbanks, in Notting Hill, and people are saying Eugenie's pregnant. She also could be stress eating. I don't know what to say. I don't want to say congratulations on the pregnancy if she's not pregnant, but none of the articles are saying that she's expecting. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see if a baby appears. And let's move on. When the Wales put out that beautiful family photo, we noticed that there were two dogs there. There was the black dog and there was a brown chocolate colored Cocker Spaniel. Apparently that's the kind of breed that they like in their house. They used to have Lupo, who passed away in 2020. They have Orla, that's the black Cocker Spaniel, who was given to them by James Middleton in 2020. And now they have Otto. And they wrote, "Welcome to the family, Otto, 1 today." So I guess he's 1 year old. I remember back when the dog was bred, and I guess this is one of the puppies. I think another one went to Zara Tyndall, that people were up in arms. You have all these shelter animals. Why don't you go adopt? I mean, it doesn't sound like they're breeding the dog every 5 months to get puppies for sale. This dog had one litter of puppies. They kept one and the rest got good homes. So there you go. All right, let's move on to our next story. Let's move on to Charlotte, because on Saturday, May 2nd, she turned 11. And of course, to mark the occasion, they shared a video of her on Instagram. The message underneath said, "Thank you for the lovely birthday messages for Princess Charlotte, 11 today." And there was a lot of background music, and it showed her petting the two dogs as they looked up at her, and then cuddling on a boat, and then writing a message with seashells at the beach, running barefoot, and playing cricket in the sand. That happens to be one of the things that I don't think anybody knew was a hobby of Charlotte. She plays cricket. I guess she's the pitcher. I don't know what you would say, but thank you to the British Prince on Twitter for showing us this. I guess she was the one pitching at Louis. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like when it comes to Charlotte, the years have just flown by. She was an adorable baby, an adorable toddler, an adorable preschooler. At every age, she has just been the cutest child, even when it looks like she's out hunting. Well, her official portrait is absolutely gorgeous. And if you zoom in, you can see the blue nail polish, the manicure that she has, which looks absolutely phenomenal. Now, a big thank you, of course, to Sarah Secret for doing this compilation. Fabulous. I was really disgusted by the Daily Fail, because this is what they put out on Charlotte's birthday. Talking about Archie. Who cares? It's Charlotte's birthday. I'm not even going to read you the article. All right, so now let's move on to King Charles. He arrived in Bermuda for the first day of what was going to be a 3-day visit. He landed at the L.F. Wade International Airport on Thursday evening, April 30th. Now, this marks his first visit to the territory as monarch. He was welcomed by Governor Andrew Murdoch and Premier David Burt after he left the United States. Now, this 3-day solo trip focuses on strengthening ties, and it includes a 21-gun salute. Charles was greeted on the tarmac with a small guard of honor from the Royal Bermuda Regiment, and there's a ton of events for day 2. But remember, like I said, day 1, he landed at dusk. And so I think what he did was they welcomed him, they took him to the hotel, they let him settle in, because wait till we start covering day 2. He did like 8 or 9 events in one day. I mean, I'm sure he was absolutely exhausted by the end of the day. So now we're on day 2, and Bermuda has a town crier for Bermuda. It's hilarious. His name is Ed Christopher. So he was walking around these huge crowds trying to keep everybody entertained until the king arrived. The area where the king was expected is called King's Square, interestingly enough. And when the king showed up, Now, as there usually is, after the king arrived, there was a ceremonial welcome where they put him up on I believe it's called the dais, and they did some stuff, and I believe he took a salute, and then he got down and he walked along inspecting the troops. Just as an FYI, let me tell you that King's Square, where this all took place, is located in the heart of the UNESCO World Heritage town of St. George's, Bermuda. It is a historic hub. It has 18th and 19th century colonial buildings. The town hall itself is from 1782. There's replicas of punishment devices like stocks and pillories, and visitors can see and take photos in those things. The whipping post used in the 17th and 18th centuries is still standing there. There's a replica of a ducking stool used to punish nagging and gossiping women, and it's adjacent to the waterfront. And during the summer, there's interactive costumed reenactments held at 12:30 p.m. that often include the ducking. Now, it's popular, it's free, it's a tourist spot. There's a lot of shops, there's a lot of things to see and do. Now, after that was done and he was done greeting people, he went to the City Hall and the Arts Center where he interacted with some of the local artists. Now, I may not get all of this in the right order, but it will be everything he did. Now, the next thing that he did was visit historic St. Peter's Church in St. George's, Bermuda. He previously visited there in 1970 to deliver the throne speech, and the church displayed items from that visit. This is one of the oldest continuously operating Anglican churches outside the British Isles, and it's designated as Their Majesty's Chapel. King Charles also visited the National Museum of Bermuda. Upon arriving at what they're calling the Keep, he was greeted by a traditional performance by the National Gombe Troupe. He was taken on a tour of several key locations within the museum's ground, including the Queen's Exhibition Hall and the 1850 Ordnance House. And he also saw an exhibition on Bermuda's history, examining artifacts from historic shipwrecks. When the king was done at the museum, he took a ferry over to Trunk Island. Now, Trunk Island is an ecological treasure trove, they're saying. It's home to a living classroom, which aims to enrich young people's understanding of the island's ecosystem. So while they were there, the king joined the Kids on the Reef program, a hands-on lesson about coral and fish identification, a soil class measuring pH, moisture, and conductivity of different soil specimens, a session releasing hermit crabs in the palmetto forest, planting a Bermuda cedar at the black mangrove pond and red mangrove habitat, and a healthy heck of the infamous Bermuda longtails which inhabit the island. So essentially, it's an educational initiative from the Bermuda Zoological Society that helps young people and adults learn about Bermuda's various ecosystems. The next up I want to report on is the King's visit to the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club, which is in Hamilton. Now, he was escorted there via a ceremonial ferry, and he was escorted across the water by a flotilla of local vessels, including veteran mariners and junior sailors. There were thousands of well-wishers gathered there, a huge crowd, and they're saying that this visit is one of the major highlights of the King's visit to Bermuda because he serves as the club's patron. Upon docking, he met with the RBYC Executive Committee, and he spent some time talking with the club members, sailors, the public. Admirers presented him with flowers and gifts as he walked through the crowd. And the King took special interest in the club's youth programs, meeting with young sailors who were learning to sail at their academy. Now, the next area that the King visited was the Royal Navy Dockyard. And while he was there, he met with, again, some performers, some youth. He met medalists and members of the Bermuda Commonwealth and Olympic game teams. He saw their medals. King also spoke with the winner of the Commonwealth Baton Relay Design Competition. He got to hold the winning baton, and then they had some more of the dancers. Keep in mind, you guys, we're still on day one. This is still May 1st. The next thing that happened was King Charles took a high-speed boat ride with the Royal Bermuda Regimental Coast Guard. He toured the waters to learn about maritime security. At one point, he did a fast boat ride so that he could witness the team's operational capabilities. The pictures show him sitting aboard the boat. The next thing King Charles did, I know, right? Like at his age, amazing. He headed to the Bermuda Aquarium Museum and Zoo, and he was there to celebrate their 100th anniversary. So he marked the aquarium centenary by cutting a chocolate and vanilla celebratory cake surrounded by staff, volunteers, and cheering spectators in the facility's driveway. Now, the next thing was to highlight Bermuda creative talent, and so Charles met with Michael Frith. He's a designer who worked with Jim Henson, and he helped design the Muppets, Fraggle Rock, and other iconic characters. That's Fozzie there. Oh my God. So now in the evening, the King attended a reception given by Andrew Murdoch, the governor of Bermuda, in the Garden of Government House. This is still May 1st. So he gave a speech and he goes, "I'm terribly sorry it's taken so long." He told the party it was to his amazement he learned that Bermuda had never previously received a reigning king. And raising a toast to the island, he said, "I need hardly say that Bermuda, like all the overseas territories, is a most cherished and important member of the British family, with a friendship as solid as this so-called rock." At the end of the night, he was seen walking into the governor's house with the governor and Johnny. That's the end of day one. All right. Now, I want to go back to New York. We know that the King was going to the 9/11 memorial, and I wondered why he wasn't being shown around by the actual New York City mayor, Zohran Mamdani. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, come to find out, you guys put me on the trail of it. He apparently wants this diamond. I don't even know if I'll pronounce it correctly. It's called the i-noor diamond. He says, "I want it back in India." And he goes, it's part of the British crown jewels. It was given to Queen Victoria in 1850. And it is claimed by several countries, including India. So this guy was asked, if you got the chance to talk to the King, what would you say to him?
When he stops to chat.
If I was to speak to the King separately from that, I would probably encourage him to return the Kohinoor diamond.
So just so you know, in 2016, India's Solicitor General stated to the Supreme Court the diamond was not stolen, it was not forcibly taken, it was gifted voluntarily as compensation for help in the Sikh wars. Next up, a big thank you to Melissa on Instagram for this. Now we know what this gentleman got from the king in Harlem. And a big thank you to Sabira Lohan for finding this on Twitter. Martha Stewart had something to say about Johnny. You can see it right here. Yeah, I completely agree with everything she said. Well, Donald Trump, they're saying, made some disparaging remarks about Harry and Meghan and some nice remarks about the royal family. That doesn't surprise me. Apparently, Donald Trump was with Robert Hartman, who's a journalist. He's written a few books. We know him. And they were in the Oval Office. And the U.S. president expressed a lot of admiration for the king. He was very happy with how the state visit unfolded. And as far as William goes, he said, William, he'll be a good king, won't he? He's a nice guy, a great guy. I like him. And as for the Princess of Wales, Catherine, he said she's perfect and so great. Now, when Trump was at Windsor Castle, he described Catherine as so radiant, so healthy, and so beautiful. Now, after he asked about Catherine's well-being, he said she was sick. People said crazy things about her, and she was so brave. Now, as for Harry and Meghan, in the conversation that Trump had with Mr. Hartman, he apparently was very blunt. And as far as Meghan's influence on Harry, he goes, that wife of his, boy, what she's done to that guy. He also spoke, by the way, to the male journalist Richard Eden. And supposedly, allegedly, he asked Charles, Trump did, can you take Harry back? As far as Harry not seeing his father, they're saying that Charles and Camilla's U.S. tour and how successful it was really underscores just how idiotic and ill-conceived Prince Harry's behavior has been over the past 6 years. He was not invited to any of the high-profile events in Washington. Now, in a different world, there would have been a place for Harry, but he's pretzeled himself into this untenable position with his constant ranting about how the royal institution tried to destroy him when he stopped playing their game, and all the tears from Meghan Markle over her alleged treatment within the palace walls. Charles has spent his life working in public. He's had all kinds of bad press. He's been told he's unpopular, out of touch. He had the breakdown of his marriage, his affair with Camilla. And what did he do? He rose to the occasion. He smoothed over the relationship between Trump and Sir Keir Starmer, while Harry, in the meantime, is a flip-flopper. He rails against the royal family, but still uses the Duke of Sussex title to ensure he can make money. And don't forget this fake royal tour he was just on, complete with paid speeches and appearances, and Meghan launching a shopping page for an AI-powered platform. Harry wants to be a statesman. He thinks it's his birthright. And it was before he walked away from being a working royal. But then again, on his visit to Ukraine, he insisted that he still considers himself to be a working royal, even though he resigned as one back in 2020. But quasi-royal appearances do not a working royal make. Harry has been shown up by his 77-year-old father, who, despite still being treated for cancer, conducted a stream of meetings and events this week which show that he is a statesman to his very bones. Don't forget, it was back in 2021 that Harry sat on Oprah's couch and said, my father and my brother, they're trapped. They don't get to leave, and I have huge compassion for that. But I think the one who's really trapped is Harry. Now, really quickly, I just wanted to touch on this. Remember when Camilla was supposed to come out of the New York City Library, but instead she stood in the door just waving her flowers? Well, come to find out, there was some talk of an attack. We know that they were using drones, the police were, to try to keep an eye on them and keep them safe. Well, apparently some plot was uncovered that somebody was going to hack the drones and attack the king and queen. That's why she didn't come out. Interesting. Next up, Emma Thin, the Marchioness of Bath, posted some pictures before she went to the King's Gala. I think she's beautiful. I'm not body shaming her, but she's like way too thin. All right, let's move on to our big story for today. All right, you guys, so this is the end of video number 1. Don't forget there's 2 videos, so feel free to go to video number 2 right after this, okay? All right. But don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button also, and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.